Welcome.
Come along with me.
Oh, gnarly!
Oh my god, I shot my eye out.
Please go to 11.
Reading Starfighter.
Hasta la vista, baby.
14.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to 40 Going on 14. I am Mike.
I am Patrick.
I'm Joel.
And I'm Josh, and welcome to the final show of Oscars month. I've been working for 3 weeks on my joke for this segment right here, but it was about Jada Pinkett Smith, so I'll be fucked if I'm going to tell it now.
Wait, do you hear that?
Is it time to wrap up?
Just I'm waiting for like a knock at the door, and Sarah, Will Smith? How did he get all the way out to Illinois? Yeah, that's a...
So, yeah, of course we're going to talk about the slap a little bit.
Yeah, we're going to talk about the slap. We're going to talk about... We are going back to 1992. We've got our tuxes on. We're looking all awards-like, and we are doing the show discussing the winners of then, the winners of now, any things that may have happened then and now and all that. And we're...
Wait. I
What?
watched the Sylvester Stallone comedy Oscar. That's not what we're doing?
Nah, but it really doesn't matter at this point.
Yeah, I'll take it.
We'll roll with it.
That's my impression of Oscar.
I'm a gangster.
Actually, funny enough, Oscar wasn't really that bad. But
Adrian!
that's a whole nother show.
Slap
I don't
me,
know
Adrian.
The Oscar show. Write that down. Yeah.
I don't know what to do with any of this.
Make love to my pee hole, Adrian.
Oh my God.
Stop it!
So if you'd like to get in touch with us and register a complaint, you can give us a call at 708 now wrap. That's 708-669-9727.
Made me laugh. I hate it so much. I told you fuckers not to laugh, and then I
You
went
told
and
us
did it.
we had instructions not to
know.
laugh at him.
I know, and then
And
I
look
did
what
it.
you did.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah. If you'd also like to join into this, you
I'm so mad at
Smell
myself.
what you wrought.
can join our Discord. Discuss this on our Discord. Go on there, click the join us on the bottom, and it'll bring you over to the chat. And there's all sorts of things. What I think one of our listeners was just talking about Hogarden a moment ago.
Yep,
Mhm.
and
Yep.
Moon Knight has begun in the spoilers chat.
Yep, Moon Knight discussion and Marco Pierre White, also, who is no longer a professional cook. So we got lots of stuff going on out there. Join us. And we get some listener feedback from you guys. But unfortunately, we have none. This is where I
Oh.
put my listener feedback, if I had any.
Right? It's been a while since we've gotten a voicemail.
Yeah.
Either
Well,
that or it's been a while since I've checked the voicemail.
It's
Yeah.
Well, I
Potato,
think
potato.
everybody was like overwhelmed by the 3.5 weeks of Lepney letting us know about all of his barbecuing, which I still need to try. But my neighbors are getting suspicious when I start digging holes in my backyard.
Again.
Yes. So we're moving on to the question of the week.
None of it stirs up the cops like night digging.
Night
doing?
digging, check it and see.
Do a little night digging.
Don't laugh at that.
Hole that will fit 1 to 3.
Don't laugh. Don't laugh at that, Pat. God bless it. You are
Don't
the
bring
worst
attention
example.
to it, and then you make me laugh.
All right. So question of the week. When was the first time you got drunk or had your first sip of alcohol? Yeah.
Going first.
Two separate occasions.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
First sip better not. Well, first sip usually isn't the getting
Well,
drunk moment.
My dad, when I was little,
Usually.
he hadn't gotten, he was, and
You
he's
want
an
to try that
alcoholic.
again with words, Joel?
Yeah.
he's an alcoholic. I was trying to think how to put it politely, or maybe put a little spin on it that was more
Positive spin on it.
yeah.
Yeah.
But so there was always alcohol in the house, and so at a very young age, he's like, you want to try a sip of this beer, and I'm like, sure. And then I was like, "Bleh, that's gross." So that was probably like between 6 to 8 years old, somewhere in there. But the first time I got drunk wasn't until it was high school. I want to say want to say I think I was driving at that point. So maybe like 16. I was at a party at a friend of mine, Josh's house, not Josh on the show. And it was a bunch of us, and he lived behind a cemetery off of State Street. And so imagine, there's two high school seniors who rent a house behind a cemetery. Yeah, that's where we're all going to drink and party when you're in high school. And I happen to have been friends with this dude since I was pretty young, so we hung out there a lot. But I was drinking MD 2020, and then that led to a little bit of alleged smoking, and yeah, I got pretty fucking lit and lit until
Huh.
I started puking. And I remember I crawled from the living room to the bathroom, and I was yakking into the toilet, and I turned around because all the other people were in the other room that were still there. And I was like, man, it tastes better coming up than it did going down. Yep. So
Well, I don't know what to do with that.
Classy.
Well, thinking about it, both my first sip of alcohol and the first time I got really drunk, both involved the same cabinet. My dad had a liquor cabinet, but it wasn't like a locked liquor cabinet or part of a bar. It was literally just a cabinet, a bureau with a bunch of bottles in it. And he was a beer drinker.
Like where you put your clothes type of thing?
No, like one of those big dining room kind of things. Like it would have like two side cabinets that were big enough to hold bottles or like lamps. And yeah, there were like dresser drawers in the middle.
Okay.
But it's like something you'd have in the dining room or in the family room. And just the one on the right side, he was a beer drinker, and like any bottles of liqueur, or if he was given a bottle of Crown Royal for Christmas by someone who didn't know him, it would go in there. And it was more accumulating because he didn't really drink hard stuff and we rarely entertained.
Okay.
But like when I was probably in like middle school age, I discovered that the stuff was in there. And my brother and I tried all of it and discovered that Frangelico was delicious.
True story.
Yeah.
But like we
tasty.
didn't get wasted on Frangelico. We were just like taking little sips of Frangelico and Kahlua because there was a bottle of each of those in there. But in high school, my senior year, I decided to swipe the bottle of Old Granddad, which is a not good bourbon.
Yep.
definitely not.
It tastes like an old granddad.
It was the closing night of the play where I was playing one of the leads. It was 10 Little Indians and I was the murderer. And we decided to celebrate the close of the show in our senior year, our last play of high school, by going out and drinking in my buddy's car. There were, I want to say, 5 of us in the car.
Party Central, man.
And we drove around. I'm drinking off the bottle of Old Granddad. We go to batting cages. I continue to drink off the bottle of Old Granddad. We decide we need to go to Taco Bell. This is mistake 2. But like after my Taco Bell meal and 3/4 of the bottle of Granddad, the predictable happens. My tummy's not feeling so good. So we're driving. I'm almost too drunk to navigate the driver back to my house in Cicero. I'm still doing okay, but then I gotta puke. And at first, I have the rhythm down. Open the car door, stick head out, puke. Open car door, stick the head out, puke. Then I got the order mixed up.
Uh-oh.
Puked straight on the car door. Then I opened it. Didn't work quite so well.
Then he fell out.
So yeah, we're packed 3 in the back seat, 2 in the front.
Oh.
And there's Bourbon Taco Bell puke inside the car.
Bourbon Taco Bell may be the most unappetizing thing I've ever heard anybody say.
And at some point, somebody handed me something that had lipstick in it. And I was so drunk, I got lipstick all over myself, the car, the other passengers.
Oh, what the fuck?
Don't give Josh anything to drink, man. He starts doing makeovers on everybody.
And they suck.
Did you eat a clown? What is going on here?
Did you eat a clown?
What's weird is I think the makeup was inside. I think it was lipstick inside one of the little clowns that we used to represent the ceramic Indians that disappeared
Oh, geez.
during the play. I think we each got to keep one, and mine somehow got somebody's lipstick inside it. Anyway.
Well, then. First time I had a taste of alcohol was the Christmas that my uncles decided to clean out my grandfather's bar. I was maybe 12, 13. And I have family in Germany. Cousin Helmut out there who owns... It's really kind of strange. He owns like one of the largest Hyundai dealerships in Germany, and he owns a huge cherry orchard. And every now and then when people would come back, they would bring back Kirschwasser.
It's a strange string of words. All right, sorry,
Isn't
go
it? Yeah, no. It really is. He would bring back Kirschwasser, made that he would just take all the cherries that he couldn't sell, put them in a big vat, let them ferment, and then squeeze them out. So it's basically cherry firewater. It's cherry hooch. One thing I learned that day was never drink anything that comes out of one of those. Remember those old brown medicine bottles?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
This sounds like a great idea to me.
Oh, yeah. Brown medicine bottle with it labeled is literally a mailing label written in German. Here, Michael, try this. I'm like, look at my uncle. It's my uncle. He wouldn't steer me wrong. I'm a big old mouthful of Kirschwasser. So I decided to sit down for the rest of the night as I watch the rest of the family finish off any bottle that was open in my grandfather's bar. And this is my dad's dad. He had like a full bar in the basement. Oh my God. It was insane. And the thing was, all this is going on as my great-great-grandfather, Gramps, sits there in the corner and finishes a bottle of Johnny Walker. He had just had his glass, poured the glass, sipped the thing, and he finished probably 2/3 of a bottle of Johnny while the rest of the family got bullets. Even my grandmother, who was like, think German grandmother, that kind of like whole stereotype. She even got loaded, and the next morning, the whole family was hungover. So that was my first taste of liquor was actually cherry hooch. First time I got drunk. First time I remember being drunk. Because I know for a while I would get really depressed and fall asleep. When I was hanging out with you guys. That was the first time I started like drinking. And then Josh had the idea that he was, how did you put it, Josh? You're going to drink so hard, so fast, we're going to punch right through sad Mike into happy Mike?
Yeah, that sounds like the sort of idea I'd come up with.
I remember that.
So Josh and I went out, we hit the bars, got loaded 3 blocks into it. Officially, at that point, we were maybe 4 or 5 blocks away from the apartment and then got lost finding our way back. That was when we were on Madison, going up Madison Avenue to all the bars up there.
That also tracks. And the fact that I have no memory of that story also tracks.
The only thing I remember is us being in one bar, meeting some people from Concordia, and telling them I'm going to start drinking till I'm happy. And some of the Kerf people were like, "Hey, that sounds great. Mike and Josh, get around for them." So we had like 5 people buy us drinks. Then we moved on. And I remember you making a phone call, us finding a payphone, and you calling the apartment to find out where we were and where was the apartment from where we were. And I remember the conversation, I believe at one point or another, somebody on the other line, it may have been Joel, just going, "I can see you." Like, you're on the corner. That was the first time I got like really like drunk. But it worked.
You punched through.
Onto the other side.
And he's been punching ever since.
Yep.
Real quick, I remember drinking before I was 21 with the guys from Jeffrey's Appendix at, I think it was Duffy's was the place that they wouldn't card.
Yeah.
But I just to add, since you guys are being more specific, my father, his beer of choice was red, white, and blue, so that's probably what I drank first. But anyway, go ahead, Patrick.
Oh, I was just gonna say my first, both answers to my answers to both of those are courtesy of my sister, which is not really supposed to be a surprise to those of you who
Ooh.
I was about, I was just before my 11th birthday, the first time I ever had anything to drink. She was having a party while my parents were gone, and she had some friends over, like about 6 or 8 friends, and they gave me some beer, and it was the first time I ever got high. And the first time I ever got drunk was about a year later when she had her first high school party. And there was, my parents were completely out of town supposedly for the weekend. They had gone away for something, and she had a big old party, and there was about 40 or 50 people in the house, and I got like just drunk and stoned out of my gazord. I was blown to the winds, and it was raining outside. I was so fucked up that I was outside in the rain, hanging out, like playing in the rain in my normal clothes, just kind of like just messed up, just sitting on a curb playing with the water that was going by right on the curb. And we lived in
Then
a
the clown
community.
showed up.
We lived in a community that had one of those community mailbox things where there's like 100 different mailbox slots, and
Oh,
everybody.
yeah.
Mm.
So I'm sitting there and I'm watching the house on the right, and and I just happen to look up and I see my parents pull up to the mailbox, and off to the left, and I'm just like, and I watch my parents, get the mail, and they pull up, and they slowly pull up, and I watch the car, because there's cars everywhere around the house, and they slowly pull up, and they slowly pull into the garage or into the driveway, and they walk into the house, and then just teenagers come flooding out of the house like roaches. And I'm just, and long story short on it, my sister got in trouble because at one point, she's like, your brother was so embarrassed by you that he would rather sit out in the rain than be in here and watch your debauchery.
Yep, run with that, Mom.
Yeah, and that's what Michelle did. She's like, yep, that's what it was going on. He's in his room just sleeping it off right now, and I don't need any more shit than that. So yeah,
Good job, Patrick.
wasn't until about 5 years ago we finally told my mom why I was outside. But
Good job being the voice of reason there.
yeah, that was
Nice.
that was my first time. So
I mean, I drank
Okay.
before, but didn't get drunk. I think we all probably did a little bit. But anyway, yes.
Well, yeah. So there we go.
Yeah, that turned out to be a real roller coaster ride.
A lot of stuff going on there.
Yeah, including the vomit at the end. So
I will.
think,
I was gonna say, I will say this: Kirschwasser is at our family gatherings every year at Christmas time now.
yeah, I kind of want some.
It's good stuff. Especially, I'll tell you, I've had stuff like buy off the shelf, but I've also had Helmut's Kirschwasser.
did you go to the doctor?
Almost night and day, man. I mean, that stuff will knock you on your ass if you're not careful. A couple Christmases ago, we started finishing off the bottles that he had of Helmut's Kirschwasser, and the conversation went from "Isn't it great that we're all cousins? We're all still hanging out?" to "We need to go streaking through downtown, where the same town where my aunt is the head of the children's department at the local library. Because if we get arrested, we'll just tell them that we're her relatives, and they'll get us off."
Oh, they'll get you off.
Yeah. The whole time my aunt's going, no,
Mm.
no, please don't do this. But in the meantime, it is about that time.
This week in music, movies, and TV.
And sports.
Ooh,
Sports?
In sports.
say it all sultry like.
In sports.
Ooh, I like it. So this week we're going with March 30th, 1992, which was the 94th? 64th Academy Awards. And music.
Don't besmirch the name of the number one Hyundai dealership in Germany. Anyway. All right, so the number one song in the land was Save the Best for Last by Vanessa Williams.
It's a pretty good song for a slow dance at middle school sort of song.
By a former Miss America who was defrocked because of her naughtiness.
Because of defrocked.
Because
she
of
got
being
defrocked.
defrocked. Yes. Indeed. Moving on. Nigel Preston was an English drummer and a founding member of the Cult. He also played with Theater of Hate, Sex Gang Children, the Baby Snakes, the Gun Club, and DeLuca. In 1990, he was sent to prison for armed robbery, and he died of a drug overdose on April 1st, 3 days before his 29th birthday, and was absorbed by the other prisoners. All of the other prisoners just absorbed his whole body. That didn't happen.
That's kind of
What?
They turned him into Pruno.
He wasn't in drug when he died. He wasn't in prison when he died.
Well, according to my head, he was. So just
He was definitely in drug when he died.
he was deep in drug. All right, and finally, Human Touch, the 9th studio album by singer-songwriter Bruce Springsteen, was released on March 31st, the same day as Lucky Town. It was the more popular of the two, peaking at number 2 on the Billboard 200 with the single Human Touch peaking at number 1 on the mainstream rock chart and number 16 on the Billboard Hot 100 chart. Human Touch has since sold more than 1 million copies in the United States and was nominated for Best Rock Vocal Performance in the 1993 Grammy Awards. So he's released 2 albums on the same day.
Yeah, for some reason.
In
Huh.
prison.
Wait, no, that's not a thing.
Before he died of being a methamphetamine user and Vanessa Williams fan.
You know what? Fine. We'll roll with that. Fuck it. Go.
Rest in peace, Bruce.
All right,
Rest in priest.
Rest in peace, Bruce.
I'm moving on to movies.
I didn't even know Joel was Swedish.
All right. The number 1 movie in the land, starring Woody Harrelson, Wesley Snipes, and Rosie Perez, was the acronym of the week, WMCJ. I know this one. This is Will Made Chris Jiggle.
Wow, were they imagine the forethought that went in that.
Wow, that's like a prophetic song more than any or movie more
Right?
than anything.
20 years
No.
from now, people are totally gonna get it.
No, Josh, that is not correct. That is White Men Can't Jump.
No, you were so close. Incidentally, we will be doing a show on that at some point because the remake is coming.
That's good because I've never seen it.
Oh.
Yeah.
All right. Also, Paul Henreid. Henreid? Henreid?
Henreid.
Paul Henreid.
Heinried.
Paul Henreid was an Australian British-American actor, director, producer, and writer. He is best remembered for 2 film roles, Victor Laszlo in Casablanca and Jerry Durant's in Now Voyager. He died on March 29th of pneumonia in Santa Monica, California after suffering a stroke.
In prison.
Yikes.
An Austrian, not Australian.
Did I say Australian?
We've
Oh,
all
yeah.
been drinking. Oh, wait, talking about
Well,
drinking.
I haven't.
Well, now the Australian contingent is depressed.
Now they're drinking.
Well,
They already
I mean,
were.
I was going to
Yeah.
say they were
It's
drinking
like-
before, but they're drinking now too.
They paused briefly and then continued. All right, so TV, the top shows in the land were 60 Minutes, Roseanne, Home Improvement, and Murphy Brown, and it was 1992.
What?
Yeah. Also, Nancy Walker, born Anna Myrtle Sawyer, can't see why I should change that name,
Right?
was an American actress and comedian of stage, screen, and television, and a film and television director. Despite her 5-decade-long career, she's mostly remembered as Ida Morgenstern.
Ida.
Yeah, Ida Morgenstern.
Ida Morgenstern.
Ida?
Yep.
Oh. I got somebody I know who's... Anyway, same spelling, different pronunciation. Anyway, who first appeared on several episodes of The Mary Tyler Moore Show and later became a prominent recurring character of the spin-off series Rhoda.
I remember Ida Morgenstern.
Wasn't
Yep.
Morgenstern... That wasn't one of the Three Musketeers, was it? Where's Morgenstern from in class? Like...
What?
Oh, so-and-so and Morgenstern are dead. That's what I'm thinking of.
That's
Rosencrantz
Guildenstern.
and
Yeah,
Guildenstern.
Guildenstern.
Yeah.
Rosencrantz and Guildenstern.
Oh wait,
So I don't know what the hell I'm thinking.
Morgenstern, I think, was the fictional author of The Princess Bride, or maybe he was the real author of The Princess Bride.
Oh, that's right. Okay, there you go. Explore Morgenstern. Apparently,
Stern.
Morgenstern is a Russian rapper.
I was just going to say that. Morgenstern.
All right,
He's-
moving on to
Wait.
I'm
sport.
gonna
my
tap
God.
into that. Look up more about that later.
He's got a
That's good.
song called Porn Out.
Of course he does.
And Hail Me. Hail Me. All right. Anyway, sorry. Go ahead.
I think he's done.
I don't think he is. On March 4th, for Jesus Christ. On March
Is that a fourth in there?
Pee hole.
I swear to God. On March 1st, NHL players began their first strike in the league's 75-year history. The 10-day action earned the players a large payoff bonus increase, more control over licensing of their likenesses, and changes to the free agency system.
Because,
A
a
large
lot of
playoff.
NHL players.
Large playoff bonus for the NHL players.
Because a lot of NHL players outside of Wayne Gretzky have their likenesses stolen and used for merchandise.
There's a big black market underground for NHL likenesses. You didn't know that? Big head stickers and things like that.
No.
Oh yeah.
I'm learning.
There's not. That's a total lie.
No.
Yeah. But you're correct. Yeah, you wouldn't think there would be. They were probably getting not much, and now they're getting something at least. For like
That's fair.
video games and things like that.
Oh, good point. Good point.
Mhm.
Yeah.
On March 25th, at the Cricket World Cup held in Melbourne, Imran Khan, you know that name?
Yeah.
Yes, the great Imran Khan, scored 72 in his final ODI as Pakistan beat England by 22 runs for their first title.
Ooh.
Yep.
Good job, Imran.
And lastly, March 28th was the East Regional Men's Basketball Final between Duke and Kentucky. With 2.1 seconds remaining in overtime, Christian Leitner hit a jumper as time expired to give Duke the 104-103 win. The game has been considered by many to be the greatest college basketball game ever played.
I know that name.
Kentucky?
No. Christian Leitner. Dick.
Oh shit.
Did Christian Leitner go on to play professional ball?
He did for a little while. He was most famously known for not only this shot, but he was the 12th man on the first Olympic Dream Team. They were forced to have a college player, and he was the one that got chosen.
That's why I know his name.
Well, he was also one of the players in NBA Jam, if I recall.
Yeah, he might have been because of that. Yeah, he might have been one of the secret players you could get, but he wasn't one of the main players. Yeah. But yeah, he only played in the NBA for like 3 seasons, I think.
I just remembered that name, and I'm like, I didn't ever watch college ball, so I'm like, he must have been somewhere that
you were watching the Olympics, I'm sure, and that's where you know him from.
Either that or
because everybody watched that first, the first NBA Olympic team with Jordan and Bird and all them.
Oh yeah,
yeah, he was the 12th man on that team.
Yeah, and I think I watched that. Wasn't there a 30 by 30 documentary on ESPN about it? I think.
Yeah.
I know I watched that because those were all fascinating.
I showed a video of the first game to the girls, and I was like, all right, we're going to start it here. Now we're going to fast forward to the middle, and then we're going to fast forward to the end. And they're like, are they 58 points ahead? Like, yes, they are. And the opposing team is going to ask for their autographs when it's done.
Yeah.
It's
a different time.
All right, play us off, Keyboard Joel.
Nut in prison.
All right, so we're going back to 1992 to the 64th.
92. Sorry, I was doing the time effect.
Is that my time travel?
Yeah.
To the 64th Academy Awards.
Awards.
In the Dorothy Chandler Pavilion. And
does anyone else hear that echo?
Honoring movies released in 1991. Yeah, so I mean, first off, I've got the winners. I got some stuff interspersed in. So people that were up for actor in a leading role. We had Anthony Hopkins for Silence of the Lambs, Warren Beatty for Bugsy, Robert De Niro for Cape Fear, Nick Nolte for Prince of Tides, and Robin Williams for The Fisher King.
Oh.
First off, I want to say that is a good bundle of movies right there.
This was a
Right?
pretty good Academy Award year period.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I remember watching this one live back in '92.
Yep.
Agreed.
Because it was one of those
Did we all
rare
watch it
moments where
together?
I knew. Yeah, we might have.
No,
Okay.
I didn't know you guys yet.
In 92?
92?
I didn't graduate high
That's-
school until '93.
Yeah, Joel and I
Oh.
were both class of '93.
I was
Well,
already
who
in
the hell did
college.
I watch this with?
Yeah, I watched it in college, so.
Well, I'm just saying this is one of the moments where I actually recognize all the movies that are popping up here. I mean, once in a while, there's one that I'm like out of the blue from, but for the
You're-
most part,
Big Prince of Tides fan.
no. I do recall going to see Cape Fear in the theater, though. So
Ditto.
yeah,
It's the first time I ever saw Juliette Lewis. I was a fan.
well, all right. So, winner of that one was Anthony Hopkins for Silence of the Lambs, and you're going to see a theme here.
Well deserved, but god damn it, Robin Williams certainly could have won that just as easily. Because he was pretty
for
amazing in The Fisher King.
The Fisher King, yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I think the thing is with The Fisher King? I think it was. I watched it. I loved it. I have it on DVD. It's a great movie. I think for the general populace, it was kind of difficult for them to wrap their heads around.
Yeah. Little too esoteric. Is that the right word? I don't know. Little
Maybe.
too out there for them. Yeah, I agree. 100%.
Yeah,
Y'all know how I feel about that movie.
yeah. Let's make a comedy about a public shooting.
I
So-
wouldn't call it a comedy.
I laughed.
I mean, there's funny parts in it, sure.
Yeah.
But anyway,
So actress in a leading role, we have Jodie Foster, Silence of the Lambs, Gina Davis for Thelma and Louise, Laura Dern for Rambling Rose, Bette Midler for The Boys, and Susan Sarandon for Thelma and Louise. Jodie Foster, again, like I said, thematically, this is how this evening is going to go.
how much would it suck that you were in the same movie in a leading role and both you and your co-star are up for the same award? I don't know what's worse, that or if like only one of you was up.
I don't know. I mean, can you imagine if Gina Davis won and then Susan Sarandon walked up on stage and slapped her?
I mean, or it
That'd
could have
be
been like
worse.
this year's Oscars, where they had a married couple up for both of them up for Oscars.
True. What, Josh?
I don't think I said anything useful.
Oh.
I think I was just chiming in. Oh, yeah.
In the role of Joel this evening, Josh.
Oh, jeez.
Something
Actor in a
about a pee
supporting
hole.
role.
There you go.
Actor in a supporting role, we've got Jack Palance as the winner for City Slickers. Went up against Tommy Lee Jones for JFK, Harvey Keitel for Bugsy, Ben Kingsley for Bugsy, and Michael Lerner for Barton Fink.
Barton Fink. Barton Fink.
So this was the year of Bugsy.
Uh-huh.
And this was also the year where Jack Palance did one-armed push-ups.
Right.
And they had the great recurring joke about every time something would happen, they'd come back from commercial break. Jack Palance just did this, just did that.
Yeah.
Like when
Well,
they
it's
had
like-
the choir of kids, Jack Palance fathered all those children.
Jack Palance just bungee jumped off of the Hollywood sign. Kids
Yeah.
these days.
Never deny a good recurring joke in one of these things. Actress supporting role, we have Mercedes Rule for The Fisher King, Diane Ladd for Rambling Rose, Juliette Lewis for Cape Fear, Kate Nelligan for The Prince of Tides, and Jessica Tandy for Fried Green Tomatoes, and Mercedes Rule for The Fisher King won.
Yep.
So they got something.
I loved her speech. She had a very good speech. And I'm glad that something won from that because it's just such an amazing movie. But
The thing is, like, Fisher King is almost like a Academy aimed at the Academy type of movie. It's got recognizable stars. It's got a theme that's kind of dark and kind of weird and a little bit edgy and
a lot of
You know,
art
there's-
direction and
right.
yeah, it's a beautiful movie and I'm glad it was nominated at least. But
Yeah.
yeah.
So art direction was the next one, and we've got Bugsy, Barton Fink, Fisher King, and Hook. And it wasn't until Hook that I was like, "Holy crap! What this year was crazy!" Like so much going on. So the winner was Bugsy for art direction.
I was kind of over the whole list, but you know what? The Hook brought me back.
Oh God!
Can I kick him?
Please.
I mean, seriously, he's warning us about you, Joel, and now he's doing it.
I'm guessing that the Bugsy art direction thing was kind of like the Cruella art direction thing, where it's
Probably
probably because it was a period piece.
period piece.
Yeah. I don't know that I saw it though, so I don't know. Did any of you guys see it?
Really? I definitely saw it more than once.
I remember seeing it years ago because this is the time that I was working at the video store. But I don't recall anything from it. I got to go back and watch this again. Now let's see, it's won all these awards.
Yeah, it was a pretty good gangster movie.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I know we have a family movie night coming up. I think I'm going to bring Barton Fink for that one.
Yes, I love Barton Fink.
You know what the thing is? My kids would probably dig it. All right, so cinematography. We've got JFK, Bugsy, The Prince of Tides, Terminator 2, Judgment Day, and Thelma and Louise are up for that one. And JFK actually won it for that, which is another movie I've never seen.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh. It's decent. I mean, I can see where that would be up and be a valid contender along with Terminator 2. Thelma and Louise, Ridley Scott. So, I mean, I can see him, working with his cameraman to pull off some cool shots. But
yeah,
I was surprised at how much Terminator 2 was up. That's where you get, like, nowadays it's all Marvel movies and stuff that kind of get up for that sort of thing. But
well, there's some movies that are going to pop up in here that you're like, wait, that was even considered type of thing.
Yeah, I just noticed the next section actually. I'm about to say that.
Costume design. So we have Bugsy, the Addams Family, Barton Fink, Hook, and Madame Bovary.
Bovary.
From the left side of the field.
I don't know what is.
I don't know. The one that sticks out to me there is Addams Family. Like, I loved that movie back in that year, but it is not the sort of movie you expect to see in this sort of award show.
No,
but I mean, at the same time, I mean, if you go from Barton Fink to Hook to Addams Family, I don't know. Outside of, I would want to say that T2 might have been in there, but everybody was just kind of like wearing leather jackets.
But I mean, like, even Silence of the Lambs, there's a lot of costuming that's going on in that, especially with James Gumb, where even the silk robe thing with the Goodbye Horses scene. I mean, there's some costuming going on there to make that work. So I don't know. Who knows where they choose these from?
Yeah. So the winner on that one was Bugsy. Then we have directing. Silence of the Lambs with Jonathan Demme. Demi.
Yeah.
Boys in the Hood with John Singleton. Bugsy with Barry Levinson. JFK with Oliver Stone. And Thelma and Louise with Ridley Scott. And Jonathan Demme with Silence of the Lambs wins, which is, considering Oliver Stone and Ridley Scott were both in this.
Right?
Yeah. That's saying something. And then John Singleton, he was he
was 23.
23, first black director to get nominated, I believe.
He was the youngest. He was absolutely the youngest, and
the young, yeah,
going up against probably some of the biggest directors of the day.
Seriously,
I mean, that's some credit. Real quick side story here about Silence of the Lambs. That was the first film I ever bought to own on VHS. An EP copy that wore out because it was, recorded at a different speed, so it took up less tape. That and True Romance were the two movies that made me fall in love with film as an art form, not just as a passive kind of viewing experience. It was that one and True Romance. So Silence of the Lambs will always have a very special place in my heart. So it makes me happy that we're talking about it.
All right. True Romance. I haven't seen that in forever. So, film editing, the editing category, JFK, The Commitments, again, another movie that I'm like, I totally forgot that it came out around this time. I love The Commitments. I have like, they brought back the whole soundtrack album that they sold. Like that got into the top 10.
Oh, such a good soundtrack, though.
It is a great soundtrack.
Yeah.
Sounds of the Lambs, Terminator 2 Judgment Day, and Thelma and Louise, and then JFK 1 for the editing. Makeup, which now is makeup and hairstyling. I believe they added that on there. Yeah. So Terminator 2 Judgment Day, Hook, Star Trek 6, The Undiscovered Country.
It's a light year, apparently.
Yeah, only those three. And Terminator 2 Judgment Day 1. Think the fact that Stan Winston was on this had a lot to do with that.
You can't really, I mean, talking about, again, one of the greats.
Yeah, Stan Winston. And then Stan Winston, Terminator 2 with the juggernaut that it was that year. I mean, they're kind of like, well, who are we going to put up against that? Hook? I guess we gotta. What else came out this year? So, but music, original score, again, highlighting what year it was. Beauty and the Beast with Alan Menken. Bugsy with Ennio Morricone.
Mm-hmm.
The Fisher King with George Fenton. JFK with John Williams. And The Prince of Tides with James Newton Howard. And Alan Menken won with Beauty and the Beast.
Yeah, all big names. I mean, it's hard to compete with a Disney score, but John Williams, probably the most like modern day anyway. Prolific soundtrack composer.
All right, and then moving on to music original song, they sung "Beauty and the Beast" from Beauty and the Beast, and then Beauty and the Beast, Be Our Guest, and then Beauty and the Beast, Belle. And then Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, Everything I Do for You.
Oh.
And then Hook, When You're Alone from Hook. I didn't even realize there was a song in Hook.
Was there?
It was called When You're Alone.
Oh,
I know.
Right.
Every time I hear it, I get the chills. And
when you're alone all the way from your... Oh, wait.
Jesus.
What the hell?
Wrong show.
So yeah, so we got 3 Beauty and the Beast, 1 Robin Hood, and 1 Hook going on for the music one.
I'm sure the Hook one probably played over the credits, just like the Everything I Do.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, that's probably it.
That's
because again,
call.
it's just like Makeup with T2, original song. We got a Disney musical, animated film that came in this, and they got 3 of the songs in there already. What are they gonna do? We can't have it all in there. It's got to put a couple other things. How about that Bryan Adams song? Want to toss that in there?
Because I don't think I want to hear Kevin Costner sing.
But yeah, so Beauty and the Beast won. Alan Menken and Howard Ashman for the lyrics on that one. Writing, screenplay based on material previously produced or published. Going to go with the winner, Silence of the Lambs. Other nominees were Europa.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember that movie, but it's Agnieszka Holland was writer of that. Fried Green Tomatoes, JFK, and Prince of Tides. Then we have writing for new screenplay, Thelma and Louise, Boys in the Hood, Bugsy, The Fisher King, and then Grand Canyon. I don't remember Grand Canyon. Do you guys remember Grand Canyon?
Oh, yeah. It was a real long movie with lots of characters. Had Danny Glover, Steve Martin.
Oh.
Yeah, it's kind of like Shortcuts or any of the Paul Thomas Anderson films. Big ensemble cast.
Mm-hmm.
Like Coffee and Cigarettes type of thing?
Kind of, but just more longer.
More longer.
Thelma
and Louise won that one. Best Picture. Anybody got a guess?
Best
Silence.
Picture?
Silence. Yep. Silence of the Lambs.
Silence won everything this year.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, it was
And it was
Silence and Bugsy pretty much divided the pot.
Yeah. So, and it was also up against Beauty and the Beast, Bugsy, JFK, Prince of Tides. Best Sound was actually Terminator 2 Judgment Day.
Okay.
Yeah.
But go ahead.
I was going to say it's up against Backdraft, Beauty and the Beast, JFK, and Silence of the Lambs. And that's another one of those like, oh yeah, this was the year Backdraft was out.
I mean, when I think about Backdraft, one of the big reasons I think that movie I mean, it's an okay movie, but the sound is so important in that film that I'm not surprised that it was up, even though the film itself was kind of, it was all right.
And then visual effects. Pat, you want to guess? You're right.
T2.
It's Star Trek: The Undiscovered Country.
Oh, I didn't even know that was in there.
No, it wasn't. It was T2.
Okay, yeah.
It was up against Backdraft and Hook.
Again,
Yeah.
makes sense. Backdraft has a lot of effects going on.
And then they also had the Academy Honorary Awards went to, oh God, I'm going to hack this one up. Sajiat Ray, who is a Bengali or Indian filmmaker, screenwriter, documentary filmmaker, author, essayist, lyricist, magazine editor, illustrator, calligrapher, and music composer.
I think it's Satyajit Ray.
Satyajit?
Satyajit.
I think he's right.
Yeah. The point goes to Joel.
Finish him.
He's widely considered one of the greatest filmmakers of all time. He's celebrated for works such as the Apu trilogy,
Yep.
The Music Room, The Big City, and Charulata. I do not know this guy. Joel apparently knows this guy.
I know the Apu trilogy just by name only. I've not seen
Okay.
it, but I know, like, I can visualize the posters for the films, but yeah, I've not.
I would like to
seen it.
thank all of you for being responsible enough and mature enough to not reference The Simpsons when we said the Apu trilogy twice. I know I just kind of did it, but you know what I mean.
Yeah. There was also gave out the Irving G. Thalberg Memorial Award. It's awarded periodically by the Academy to creative producers whose bodies of work reflect a consistently high quality of motion picture production. And they gave that to George Lucas, who in 1992, apparently that's where he was.
Consistently high quality. Well,
yeah, I mean, 92. He hadn't done the prequels yet, so he got up on stage. I want to thank everybody very much. I got this award. It's not an Oscar, but it's got a different guy's head on here. But I really appreciate it. Thank you very much, everybody.
That might have been why he where he got the balls to make the prequels.
Never know. Now, performers. Bill Conti was the music arranger for all the orchestra type of things on this one. And he's done music from like For Your Eyes Only, did the Dynasty TV show, The Right Stuff. Billy Crystal did a performance where he did Beauty and the Beast to the tune of the Patty Duke Show. And then Silence of the Lambs to the song Shadow of Your Smile from the Sandpiper.
Yeah, if you watch the opening of the show, he did a medley.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, JFK to the tune of Three Coins in the Fountain.
Right.
It's yeah. So he also had Paige O'Hara and Richard White performing Belle from Beauty and the Beast. Jerry Orbach, who is amazing, doing Be Our Guest. Bryan Adams came out and did Everything I Do It For You.
Of course.
Amber Scott came out and did When You're Alone from Hook, and everybody went, oh, it's the music from the credits. And then here's a name last time you thought of this guy, Peebo Bryson.
Mm-hmm.
Celine Dion and Angela Lansbury also came out and performed Beauty and the Beast.
I mean, Peebo Bryson, I mostly think of performing at the Academy Awards, something that he did that was in a movie soundtrack.
Right.
Yep.
Like, I don't think this is the only time he did that. I think it was at least once more.
Didn't he do Somewhere Out There? American
think
Tail.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think
that's the other one I was thinking of. Yes.
Yeah, hang on. I'm on here. Yep, I believe you're right.
Just thinking out loud. And do any of you guys know how many times Billy Crystal's hosted the Oscars?
8 is my guess.
Gonna go with 6.
Josh?
I was gonna guess 8.
9 times.
Holy cats.
9
Shit, I should have done the
times.
Yep.
One
Price is
over.
Right and just gone
I thought
one
you were
over.
going to.
I should have.
I was regretting going first. I'm like, why did I do that?
So
I'm trying to see who's hosted the Oscars the most. Oh, okay. So, all
Oh,
right.
Give us some choices.
Oh,
Yeah, you can. We can
Prepared
because
to make a multiple
'cause-
choice test on the fly.
there's got to be at least 3 people on the top. Otherwise, I'm just going to guess Peeble Bryson.
okay. So the most times I'm going to give you Billy Crystal, Ricky Gervais, Whoopi Goldberg, Joan Rivers, or Bob Hope.
Joan Rivers.
I'm going with Whoopi.
I'm going with Joan Rivers.
Bob Hope hosted the Oscars 19 times.
Wow.
Holy cats. Way to go, ski slope nose, man.
And I knew that
Jeez.
Ricky Gervais was a trick question because he's not an Oscars host. He's a Golden Globes.
Yep.
Golden Globes host, yeah.
The next
Well, not
closest-
anymore.
Oh, true. The next closest was actually Billy Crystal, and then after that, it was Johnny Carson did it 5 times. So you really had a drastic drop off
Holy cow.
in numbers.
I didn't even know. I didn't even recall that he even did host them. But I suppose, I mean, he was huge all the time.
That's what his wife said.
Everybody.
Sorry, I was trying to throw in a little fun trivia there because
No, that's good trivia. I mean, because Bob Hope, I didn't. I mean, you think how many years has it been? 100 and what?
the 94th was this year.
94th. Jeez, yeah, that's all.
Yeah, I mean, definitely in the early 90s, I used to watch the Oscars a lot. And then the last couple years, I've been I try to watch it every year, but I just haven't gotten up the gumption until this year where we were doing it for the show. And man, did we pick a
Yes,
hell of
we
a year to do this show.
Yeah, hell of a year to choose to do this. Yeah, I'm the same with you, Josh. It's like I remember watching it in the early 90s and actually sitting down and having we're going to watch the Oscars type of thing, and just slowly waning off. The only other time that I recall actively watching it is when I was at your apartment, Pat.
Yeah, and that was one of the last times I really remember watching it too. We had a big Oscar party. We all had a pool we bet on.
Yeah.
Had
Yeah, because
food,
I remember I
had,
brought everybody that worked with me at the game store over.
Yeah.
And I made a poster for it because we had an Oscar party.
Yep.
Yeah,
That was one of the last times I really gave a shit about it. I mean, I thought, was that the year that Saving Private Ryan won? Or didn't win, I mean?
It would have been definitely, I would say, either 94 or 95. I'm guessing 95.
Yeah, well, 98 was when that happened, because that was pretty much to me the last Oscar that I watched. I that kind of burned me out. I was like, oh, you know what, fuck this.
Well, no, I mean because
95 was
couldn't have
Forrest
been.
Gump's year. Maybe it was later. Though.
Oh, yeah.
It had to have been later because
I'm saying that 98
didn't-
was the
No, I didn't start working at the game store until after 2000.
Well, 96 was Leaving Las Vegas.
When was Shakespeare in Love?
99. 97 was
Yeah,
Shine.
about 500 years ago.
Shine was 97. 98 was As Good as It Gets. And then 99 would have been Shakespeare in Love. And
I will
Matrix.
say,
Or no.
the
Yeah, Shakespeare in Love. Sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say when I was working at the video store, one of the things I remember is that every time the Oscars came out, that was a huge thing. Oscars were coming up, and everybody was coming in and renting movies that had won Best Picture. We had to do a whole display of videos that had won the Best Picture in previous years and that sort of thing.
Yeah, because it used to be everybody tried to see all the Oscar, the Best Picture movies before the Oscars.
Yeah,
used to be.
Everybody wanted to see those. Yeah, and this is back. I mean, the guy who I worked for, Lou, he was insane with this because he would buy. My store got 20 copies each of everything that was up for an award, and we had this gigantic display. And this is back when, God, VHS cassettes were like $70 a pop.
Oh,
yeah.
You know, that wasn't cheap.
Those were dark days.
And it's crazy now because I think that since the late 90s, I am more likely, when I watch the Oscars, whether I watch the whole thing or just catch the highlights the day after, I am more likely to go and decide to see the movies that were nominated or won because I discover them because of the award show instead of watching them beforehand.
Right.
Well, like
a
for
lot of the movie. Oh,
oh, good. No, please.
I was gonna say a lot of the movies that are up for awards. I want to say like 99, 2000 on are they're obscure up until the point where they get onto the Oscars.
Sure. Although this year I had an unusually high percentage of movies, not just for the podcast, but just in general, that I watched that were nominated.
Cool.
That's true. Yeah, this is the first year I've actually had a lot that I've watched ahead of time. But like for example, the Eyes of Tammy Faye or whatever that Jessica Chastain won for, I had no interest or even really knowledge of the film until I saw her acceptance speech, and I'm like, okay, now I'm kind of curious. But yeah, I don't know when I stopped watching, but I used to be the same way. I was like, I had to watch the Oscars every year, and I think the more that I kind of realized that there was a lot deeper wealth of films out there, not just the bad ones, Patrick, the good ones too, uh, the less I cared, you know? But still fun to talk about. Fun to
Yeah.
watch together.
All right. So I feel like we're hitting a lull. Are we ready to go to the break and then fully dive into this year's Academy Awards?
I totally think we are. So we'll do that then.
I guess.
I was like, is that a break or what's
I was
happening?
waiting for more confirmation from you guys, but apparently we're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk about the Academy Awards and the awards that were given and things that occurred. Right. So we'll be back in a little bit.
Booyakasha.
All right, we are back, and we're going to talk about this year's 2022 93rd Academy Awards, celebrating movies that were all released in 2021. This was at Union Station, Los Angeles, in the Dolby Theater at the Hollywood and Highland Center. That's a lot of words.
Yeah, it was the first time in 3 years that they actually had hosts.
Yeah. So,
Yeah, how did they do it without hosts? I didn't even watch those.
And it was the 94th.
94th? What did I say?
93rd. You've got the dates as honoring movie. Yeah.
Oh!
Somehow you couldn't paste last year's. I was like, no, it was the 94th. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
All the stuff underneath.
No, you know what it was? Here's the thing. If you type in 2022 Academy Awards, you get for the year before.
Oh, okay.
So this is my fault. It's 2022. I don't know where the hell it was, but it happened this month. Happened.
I mean, it is the Dolby Theater. It is, all that stuff is all.
Yeah.
It's just anyway. All the stuff below it is correct.
Yeah, and the thing was that really got me is like for last year's, I started putting in like the lead actor in a leading role award, and it was Anthony Hopkins again. And I was like, oh man, that's really cool. And then I'm like, wait a second, that doesn't make sense. So then I had to redo all the winners and everything. But so first off, who hosting this was? There were 3 people. There was Wanda Sykes,
Regina Hall, and Amy Schumer.
Yep. A bundle of unfunny people for me all around.
I was not excited to see Amy Schumer. Wanda Sykes runs hot and cold for me. Regina Hall, I've seen a couple of her things. I didn't really have an opinion on her, but Amy Schumer really surprised me this year. She was funnier than I think I've ever seen her, and like she might not be a very good stand-up person, or movies may not be good, but as a host, I thought she was actually pretty funny.
Huh. I kind of agree. I had more than one chuckle off of her this time around. Normally, I just don't find her funny at all.
Yeah, I actually found I had some moments with the 3 of them that I actually laughed, and even some of the stuff later, I was like, huh.
Yeah.
Okay.
There were times where I exhaled a little bit faster than I normally do, but
I found them almost completely unfunny, personally.
What the
I mean, there were a couple
speeches?
moments. Yeah. No. The
Yeah.
hosts. You know,
No, I know. I was kidding.
Yeah, I'm just saying. Like I we're probably in the same boat on this one because I think it wasn't like Billy Crystal was doing it. You know, Billy Crystal when he was funny. This I think just I was kind of
like
like
that whole
once
thing
in a
that
while
they
it was
had
kind of
where they were standing there, you know, trying to hand out the DVDs and the different things and then whatever. That whole bit was not funny at all.
See, both Sarah and I thought the a movie that no one had seen, including the director, and it was The Last Duel, was actually pretty funny.
And see, I didn't even get. I don't even know what The Last Duel was, so maybe I just didn't get that joke. But that whole bit just fell flat for me.
Yeah, it was a Ridley Scott film that virtually nobody saw. Sarah watched it, and like, it's a movie with like Adam Driver and Matt Damon that features like a reenaction of a medieval rape from like 3 different perspectives.
Mm.
And
Yeah, I
swords.
didn't.
it had really cool armor. That's what I can give that.
And it has Matt Damon fighting with swords.
Oh, you ass. So actors in a leading role, we have Will Smith for King Richard, Javier Bardem for Being the Ricardos, Benedict Cumberbatch, Power of the Dog, Andrew Garfield for Tick Tick Boom, and Denzel Washington for The Tragedy of Macbeth. Will Smith.
So we're already here, are
yeah.
we?
Well, I mean, actor in a leading role. That's what I started with. The last actor and actress. That's what I started with. I've got notation for later.
So this was 30 minutes after the now infamous, like, I don't think we need to go over the details unless someone's living under a rock at this point. Maybe a rock was the wrong word to use. But when Chris Rock made a joke about Jada Pinkett Smith that was, hey, G.I. Jane 2, can't wait to see it. Like, pretty innocuous in terms of how offensive it could even be, but whether or not he knew, like, she'd just gone on record about having a diagnosis of alopecia, and something happened. Like, they cut from the camera where Will is first laughing at the joke, and then he's rushing the stage and hauls off and slaps the shit out of Chris right across the stage, returns to his seat, and twice yells, "Keep my wife's name out of your fucking mouth."
Well, and
Yep.
the interesting thing about it is that if you look at Jada's face right before that, she kind of makes a face like, okay, that whatever. Like, she's annoyed by the joke, but it is what it is. So yeah, I'm curious. I wish we could have seen what happened in between point A and point B, but yeah.
And by now, there have been all sorts of dissections, like people catching pictures of Beyonce trying to grab for Will's hand to keep him from rushing the stage.
Oh, interesting.
The fact that Chris Rock kind of looked like he braced for it. You know, I don't know. I think I have a hard time believing the truthfulness of anything that comes out of Hollywood. I mean, they are all actors.
Yeah, but when you are known for family movies, like I've said before, we were talking a little pre-show, is like, maybe I could have said, okay, the slap was faked, but him dropping the F-bomb twice on live TV that goes out worldwide, and it was not censored in every country, that is something that, even if you're winning Best Actor, some careers would not recover from. His probably will, but to me, that's the evidence. And I think that's the moment, if you look at all of the people in the audience, where they realize this isn't a bit. That just happened.
Well, and it's interesting because it's not the first time where crazy things have happened. Like the streaker is probably the biggest one that people remember. And it's something people are going to talk about. And we were there.
Or George C. Scott sending a Native American up to accept his award. That was a pretty big controversial moment.
Yeah.
No, that was
Brando refusing his.
Brando,
no,
Brando.
it was
Sorry,
Marlon Brando sent to.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, none of it has been a altercation. I mean, there's been a couple times where people have like tried to rush the stage and gotten taken down and politely escorted away. But I don't know. I have
yeah.
questions. I have questions that I think are not going to show answers are not going to show up to this till years from now.
Well, and like right after you've got P. Diddy getting up for the next category, saying we're going to solve this like family after the show. And then when 30 minutes later, after being still in his front row seat with people making awkward references to it and everyone looking super tense, we're to this category where Will wins the best actor, comes up to the stage and gives this strange halting speech where he's breaking down, processing what he did, talking about how the character he played was a defender of his family, and how in the business you have to tolerate disrespect. And it's just this rambling, long, emotional speech that's kind of hard to watch.
Where he portrays himself as a victim, kind of almost.
And he kind of apologized, but kind of doesn't.
Like, yeah, he doesn't apologize to Chris. He does recognize that he's overshadowed the event and disrespected the Academy and his fellow nominees.
Yes.
Which is something, I guess.
But he apologized to everybody but the person that he should have.
I mean,
Which was
nobody
just
was
odd.
nobody was really in the right or the wrong. It's who knows? I mean, it could be, more comes out later. Could be, that it is what it was, but we all saw it.
That was a thing that happened.
Yep.
So he wound up, like Josh said, he wound up winning the actor in a leading role for King Richard, the story of the father of the Williams tennis sisters.
And poor Questlove wins his first Oscar, and it's presented to it by Chris Rock right after all that happens.
Right?
So,
Yeah.
So the guy's like, yeah, nobody gives a shit what I have to say right now.
Well, he was struggling to do his speech because he was just overwhelmed with emotion. Right. And I think Questlove is like he's a national treasure.
Yeah, for sure. And I just think it's a shame that his Oscar win was overshadowed, just like a lot of people's.
For sure.
All right, so actress in a leading role, we have Jessica Chastain for The Eyes of Tammy Faye, Olivia Colman for The Lost Daughter, Penelope Cruz for Parallel Mothers, Nicole Kidman for Being the Ricardos, and Kristen Stewart?
Yep.
Question mark. For Spencer.
Yep. So to get when you play Princess Diana.
And that's the thing is, like, there were an unusual number of biopics, especially in this category, but just in general. And that's, you see, they were all real big this year. And Jessica Chastain, like Joel had said earlier, both Sarah and I, when we saw this get announced and heard her speech, like, I had no interest in seeing this, but now I kind of want to.
It made me curious. And I've heard good things about Spencer. Some people have actually said it's almost like a horror movie in some ways. And we just watched Being the Ricardos last weekend, which if you're going to watch that, watch the Lucy and Desi Amy Poehler documentary the same night, but watch the documentary first, then watch the movie. It's fascinating.
Okay. So Jessica Chastain won with The Eyes of Tammy Faye.
Mm-hmm.
And supporting actor, we've got Troy Kotsur for Coda, Sirian Hines for Belfast, Jesse Plemons for Power of the Dog, J.K. Simmons for Being the Ricardos, and Cody Smith-McPhee for winning the most fun name to say. Also for Power of the Dog. And that one went to Troy Kotsur for Coda. Again, Power of the Dog, I don't know what that is. I mean, I did not know what that was until there was all these.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
that was my pick for Best Picture this year.
Really? Most of my life has been revolving around movies that I watched for this show.
Yep.
And if I'm not watching a movie for this show, I'm pretty much just sitting and staring, really.
Oh.
Yeah. Like, I didn't actually see Power of the Dog, but there was enough when it came to the announcements talking about it, and I was aware of, like, controversy surrounding reaction to it, that it's basically a Western about someone whose repressed homosexuality causes him to lash out at the people around him.
Starring Benedict Cumberbatch and the weirdest couple of the century, Kirsten Dunst and Jesse Plemons.
right?
Huh.
Such a weird.
And Coda was something that I hadn't really learned about until we were coming up to awards season. And Troy Kutzer is the second, I believe, deaf actor to win an Academy Award after Marlee Matlin, who is also in
Yep.
Coda.
Okay.
And she won for shit. I had the name of the movie and I
Children
just
Never
lost it.
Lesser God.
Thank you.
But yeah, she is. She was the first. He's the second. They announced that when he won Deaf Actor to win an Oscar.
All right. So we have supporting actress Ariana DeBose for West Side Story, Jessie Buckley for The Lost Daughter, Judi Dench for Belfast, Kirsten Dunst for Power of the Dog, and Anjuan Ellis for King Richard. And that one went to Ariana DeBose.
Who had the classiest, like, heartfelt speech. That was like a true Oscar speech right there, in my opinion.
I agree. It was a
beautiful
very
speech.
good speech.
I could say, having seen so many clips now from Belfast, I have no interest in ever seeing Belfast. I am Irish, but that movie looks dull as shit.
I don't know anything. I mean, I know of it, but I don't know anything about it. Like the plot or anything. I'm looking it up now, though. Directed by Kenneth Branagh.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of have me 50% of the way, but with directed by Kenneth Branagh. But moving on, we also have animated feature film, which was not a category back in '92.
Oh, right.
They
Yeah, it
have-
was kind of a big deal that Beauty and the Beast was up in the regular.
Right, Beauty and the Beast was animated. They didn't have an anime category at
Yeah.
that point. So they have Encanto, Flea, Luca, Mitchell's versus the Machines, and Raya and the Last Dragon. And no surprise, Encanto won.
Of course.
Yeah.
And Flea was nominated for a bunch of categories outside of animated categories,
Yeah.
which I thought was interesting. I kept seeing it show up.
And
so I'm vaguely curious about it.
And the Mitchells and Machines was pretty good.
Oh, so good.
But Raya and the Last Dragon, I think, just stylistically, I personally think that one should have won.
See,
I'm a big fan of Raya.
Luca was fun, but it wasn't like an earth-shattering, changing kind of thing. I loved it. We've talked about Encanto. Mitchell's, I thought was phenomenal. Ray and the Last Dragon actually is one of those movies that I have no desire to see it. It does not appeal to me whatsoever. Yeah, I don't know why. It's just one of those movies. I see the pictures from it, and I'm like, I don't know why. It's weird. But if you've seen it and you say it's good, I may have to check it out.
Yeah, it's definitely worth a one watch.
Because I mean,
you know me in animated films. I mean, this is like my category.
Exactly.
I know this is going to get me roasted, but that is pretty much how I feel about Encanto. I don't have any desire to see it, like based on everything about it. Like even hearing the music, everything is just like meh.
Well, if Mike says it's worth watching as an animated film, that gives me a reason to consider it. Honestly, because that is kind of your jam, so to speak.
Yeah, I do like them. I mean, and I'm glad that they finally came up with a, I don't know I forget what year it came out where they had the animated category show up, but it's totally damn worth it because now having a kid who's learning to be an animator, it's a lot of friggin' work going into this stuff, whether it's drawing or whether it's model movement or whatever. There's a lot of effort. Walking across the stage, walking from one point to another point is easy if you're filming just a person walking, but if you're drawing a person walking, that's a totally different thing, and they need some respect for that. And I'm trying to remember Song of the Sea. There was a oh, God bless it. I'm trying to remember that they also came up with another movie that I think should have won. It was directed by Tom Moore, who did Song of the Sea, The Secret of Kells, and Wolfwalkers. They came out in 2020. That's the problem. It's too early. Josh, you would like it. They're actually very like Irish Celtic type of mythology animation.
Huh.
Yeah. Secret of Kells is exactly that. They find the Book of Kells type of thing, that sort of story. Song of the Sea, spoilers, like the I don't know how to put it. The sea folk start coming forward, and then Wolf Walkers is a girl discovering that she's part werewolf type of thing. And the animation in these is just amazing. Great art in this one. But I'm realizing why I got excited, because Wolf Walkers actually was up for Best Animated last year, not this year. So there you go. Totally off subject. But let's get back to what we are talking about. Cinematography. Dune, Nightmare Alley, The Power of the Dog, The Tragedy of Macbeth, and West Side Story. And guess what won? Dune. Greg Fraser for the cinematography on that.
Yeah, we're going to be talking a lot about, hey, Dune won again.
Yeah.
Because it didn't quite sweep, but damned if it didn't get more awards than I thought it would.
Yeah, it did show up a lot.
It is a mighty fine looking movie, so I'm not surprised. But
yeah,
so was Nightmare Alley, and so was West Side Story.
And like sci-fi or other genre pieces don't necessarily pull down a lot of awards. So I don't think it doesn't deserve all the awards it got. I was just surprised that it got them.
Mm-hmm. And considering the original Dune, you think they want to not bring it up.
Hey.
Costume design. Cruella, Cyrano, another movie that we had on the list for remakes. Dune, Nightmare Alley, and West Side Story, and Cruella won.
As it
totally
should have.
Should have. 100%.
Yeah, I mean that, and it also kind of retroactively justifies our inclusion of it in Oscars month, because this was the big category it had a shot at, and it took it down.
Yep. Also moving on, directing, Power of the Dog, Belfast. Well, let's see, Power of the Dog, Jane Campion. Belfast, Kenneth Branagh. Drive My Car, Raisuke Hamaguchi. Licorice Pizza, Paul Thomas Anderson. West Side Story, Steven Spielberg. And Jane Campion won with Power of the Dog, beating out Steven Spielberg.
Which, West Side Story was didn't do what I think everybody was expecting, so... yeah.
And she also had a pretty fun little speech, too. I like that she got up and she called out Kevin Costner a little bit for being kind of stodgy. She's like, very dramatic, Kevin.
Well, she's
Yeah, his speech was like, it started good and like heavy and like about his history with movies, and then he started to ramble like he wasn't sure where he was.
Like Liza Minnelli, which is unfortunate. That was sad, by the way.
Yeah, that's the thing. It was definitely a medical and age condition. For Kevin, it was just like, I don't know what was going on, where
he loves to hear himself
sort of
talk so much.
Must be.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, Liza Minnelli had just recently suffered from some sort of hematosis thing, caused blood on the brain. So, and that had just was fairly recent, but anyway, that was sad. Sorry. Moving on.
Yeah. Film editing, Dune, Don't Look Up, King Richard, Power of the Dog, and Tick Tick Boom. Dune won.
Have any of you seen Don't Look Up? I hear a lot of very mixed reviews on it, and I'm curious, but haven't watched it.
And I have not, and the mixed reviews are exactly why I have stayed away from it.
Sarah watched it and said that the performances were good, but it's one of those movies that makes its point and then continues to make its point until it's beaten you over the head with it.
Like they had a 30-minute concept and they didn't know how to make it a movie.
It's like, okay, we get it. This is a metaphor for the climate crisis, and everyone's pretending that nothing bad's going to happen. We got that in the first 20 minutes, but we're sitting here for another hour.
I'm going to look up just because you said not to.
All right. Moving on. We have got makeup and hairstyling. The Eyes of Tammy Faye, Coming to America, which totally forgot about that one. Cruella, Dune, and House of Gucci. The Eyes of Tammy Faye almost kind of funnily win that one.
Right. The makeup thing.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, what else can you say about it? You make Jessica Chastain look like Tammy Faye Baker. You deserve some awards.
Yeah.
Are you talented enough? Are you good enough in makeup to do makeup bad enough to be good enough to win an Oscar?
Yeah. Are you good enough to make bad makeup look good?
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. Words. All right. So moving on to the next one, we have got original song, No Time to Die from No Time to Die, Be Alive from King Richard, Dos, Josh help me out, Orguitas from Encanto, Down to Joy from Belfast, Somehow You Do from the movie I don't know, Four Good Days. Don't know that one.
I don't either. That
yeah.
one has what's her? Why am Meg? Shoot.
Mila Kunis.
Why am I blanking on her
Mila
name?
Kunis?
Huh? Yeah, Mila Kunis is in it.
I thought you meant from Bob's Burgers, but that's not the daughter's name either, is it?
No.
All right, but the winner was No Time to Die.
Yeah, I mean, I think that this was a clearly correct decision, having heard all of the songs. It's pretty obvious that Encanto submitted the wrong song. They performed both of them, although they performed We Don't Talk About Bruno, and then interrupt it in the middle for an awkward rap about how much we love the Oscars.
That was weird. I don't know. Maybe pushing for... I don't even know what they would be pushing for on that one.
I mean, that performance was great until... And I don't have a problem with rap. Some of my favorite songs are rap. But a weird rap verse that isn't in the song about the Oscars is not the reason I want to see the first live performance of We Don't Talk About Bruno.
Right.
And yeah, Billie Eilish's song felt like a Bond song from another era, from like the 60s or 70s. And I thought it was a really cool song, and it was my favorite musical performance of the night.
Yeah, she's got the pipes for it. And then moving on, we have got Best Picture. We've got Coda, Belfast, Don't Look Up, Drive My Car, Dune, King Richard, Licorice Pizza, Nightmare Alley, Power of the Dog, West Side Story, and Everybody's in the Pool this time. Holy cow, that's a lot of movies. What the hell is Licorice Pizza?
The typical Paul Thomas Anderson movies, like vignettes.
Yeah, it's the
okay.
period piece, Paul Thomas Anderson, about like a couple awkward kids. He's going to, like, he's rich, she's not, and like the summer that they got together.
Okay. Got it. So Coda won for that one. Don't Look Up probably, I'm guessing from, I don't know, I think they threw that in there just to pad it out, maybe? It just, that one kind of doesn't fit with all the other ones that are in here.
Yeah, I was a little surprised at that getting nominated.
Yeah. So moving on, production design, Dune, Nightmare Alley, Power of the Dog, The Tragedy of Macbeth, and West Side Story. And Dune came out the winner on this one for totally good reason. Also, sound got Dune going up against Belfast, No Time to Die, Power of the Dog, and West Side Story. And Dune comes out with sound and production design in both of those. So then, guess what? Visual effects. Dune won.
Dune.
I mean, it was going up Dune. I mean, come on. It was going up against Free Guy, No Time to Die,
Dune,
Shang-Chi
where's
and
my
the Legend,
Oscar?
and then Spider-Man No Way Home. But yeah, Dune for that one. And then writing, adapted screenplay, Coda, after winning Best Picture, won that one. Totally.
Yeah, I mean, this looks like the feel-good movie of the year.
Yeah.
And you know what? If it wasn't on Apple TV, I would have seen it already.
Mm-hmm. Original screenplay, Belfast, Don't Look Up, King Richard, and Licorice Pizza. And Worst Person in the World, which, again, dropping one of these movies I've never heard of in there. But Belfast won for that one. So Kenneth Branagh got another Oscar under his belt.
Worst Person in the World, if I recall, is a foreign film, because it was also nominated in the foreign film category, along with like You Can Drive My Car,
Okay.
which also made it into mainstream categories. I think it was the film from Sweden or Finland. He's not exactly sure about that. I'm sure someone would correct me on that, but it's a European film.
Okay.
The Worst Person in the World.
And I
was.
found
Got
it
it.
interesting, by the way. I thought I heard them say during the broadcast when Kenneth Branagh won that it was his first actual win. He's been nominated before, but it was his first win.
Really?
Yeah, I don't. It might have been
Huh.
like first win for directing, but I mean, I may have misheard that. But
Joel, get on that.
I mean,
How many
he's-
Oscars has Kenneth Branagh won?
He's been in a lot of stuff, but a lot of it was entirely middle of the road or not that great.
Worst person of the world
Huh.
is Norwegian.
Thank you. I knew it was one of those
it's
countries.
a hell of a
Norway,
statement for you to
Finland,
make.
Sweden.
You got anything to back that up? Haha. The worst person. Never mind. It was a bad joke. Edit that out, Mike. Later.
Yeah, I'm on that.
Kenneth Branagh's been nominated 8 times and won once.
Really?
Yeah, so they were right. Yeah.
Huh.
Well, they were. I
Yeah,
heard
I'm
them
more
right.
surprised by the 8 nominations than the 1 win.
Huh. That's crazy. And then finally, we have got the honorary Academy Awards. Samuel Jackson won for being a cultural icon whose dynamic work has resonated across genres and generations and audiences worldwide. Which is not wrong.
And this was one of the other controversial decisions they made this year. Is they took the honorary Oscars and some of what they call the below the line categories, in an effort to shorten the length of the broadcast show. They presented them pre-show off camera.
Yeah, I've got some notes on that too. So, but honorary, we also have Elaine May for her bold, uncompromising approach to filmmaking as a writer, director, and actress, known for things such as A New Leaf, The Heartbreak Kid, Mickey and Nicky, and Ishtar. One of those is not like the others. And Liv Ullmann, in her statement, Ullmann's bravery and emotional transparency has gifted audience with deeply affecting screen portrayals. Norwegian actress,
I was gonna say, I don't think I know who that is by name.
right?
No, if
Liv
you're sorry.
Ullmann.
The Jean Hersholt Humanitarian Award. Danny Glover got that for advocacy for justice and human rights. And did any of you guys hear about this? There was an Oscars fan favorite thing that came across Twitter.
Yeah, I watched both of the fan favorites and the top moments. Like their number one choices were fucking bizarre.
Yes. So they had a tie-in for movie lovers, and the Academy teamed up with Twitter to host the Oscar fan favorite contest, where Twitter users can vote for their favorite film. Mark Donaldson of Screen Rant wrote that the decision to introduce this category widens the gulf between Academy voters and moviegoers. For example, aside from featuring Benedict Cumberbatch in both films, Power of the Dog is miles away from No Way Home, and that's how it should be. There should be a room for art house and commercial cinema. However, Spider-Man No Way Home winning fan favorite and Cumberbatch new film winning Best Picture would further entrench the divide between art and commerce and film culture. Ultimately, first place went to Army of the Dead. What the hell?
And like we all were vaguely positive on Army of the Dead, but like an Oscar in any category, what?
It's a fun movie, but it definitely is not.
And the
yeah.
okay, and number 2 was Cinderella,
I've not heard anything good about that.
Right?
the Amazon one.
Yeah, we talked
did a
about
show
that.
on
Yeah,
it.
we did a show on that.
Yeah.
That might have
And
been
then
the one that
something
Joel
called-
missed.
Yeah, I wasn't on that.
Yeah,
one.
Minamata, something came out. I don't know what Minamata is, and then Spider-Man No Way Home, and then Tick Tick Boom. So
Yeah, Tick Tick Boom I want to see, but if I get to pick, I'm picking Spider-Man.
and that's my here's my theory for this. Twitter decided to do an online voting thing, and then I'm laying a bet someone on 4chan said, "Hey, let's make Army of the Dead the number 1."
I mean, that's the only thing that explains the other category that was fan chosen, which was top moment in recent film history. Like, I think Avengers Assemble was number 3, and number 1 was the Justice League Snyder cut, The Flash Enters the Speed Force.
Yeah, I thought that was really
That-
odd.
That okay, I 100% am blaming 4chan for this now. Somebody screwed with it. Because anything those idiots over at 4chan, they're awful as long as they're discombobulated and all looking at separate things, but if they all focus on one thing at the same time, weird shit happens.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, my guess is there had to be some online vote manipulation because both of those categories were just weird to anyone who's ever seen a movie.
Right.
And like I said, I enjoyed Army of the Dead, but yeah, definitely
too.
not.
Uh-huh. It was a fun popcorn movie.
Yep.
It was fun, and watched it, checked that box off, and get on with my life.
Yep. Indeed.
Yeah. And as Josh was saying, there was also efforts to shorten the ceremony. Presentations of 8 awards: animated short film, documentary, short subject, film editing, best live action short film, best makeup and hairstyling, best original score, best production design, and best sound were not broadcast but pre-taped before the start of the telecast. They tried to do that in 2019, but they reversed the idea after it was getting negatively received. Hollywood Reporter said that the decision was made under pressure from ABC execs who demanded that 12 of the 23 categories be moved off the live broadcast, under the penalty of not airing the ceremony at all if cuts were not made. So, other people stepped in and made comments about it. Josh Brolin and Jason Momoa had entered negotiations to present 8 awards off the air. Despite that, and all this going on to try and shorten it, the final program ran 3 hours and 42 minutes long, the longest show since 2018.
Yeah, I ended up watching even the cut down version for Hulu was 3 hours.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. People, Steven Spielberg, Guillermo del Toro, all came in and were just like not down with the idea of cutting out these things. Basically, like Steven Spielberg had a great statement about it's not just one person that makes these films. There's a whole team of people and they need to be recognized. And the same thing was echoed by Guillermo del Toro.
Well, Jennifer Garner and a couple other people like skipped the red carpet altogether, just went in to be in the audience for that part of the ceremony, which I thought was pretty cool.
That's cool.
So I could see that we've got a note about the slap, but we've covered
the slap. Now we're going to get on to the performances. Beyonce performed "Be Alive" from King Richard
in Compton.
That was an odd, like, I'm not a fan of the song. The performance was interesting, like the way it was all set up. I didn't think too much of the song.
I mean, if there's anything Beyonce and her entourage know how to do, it's make a musical event. So
right.
Yep. And then Sebastian Yatara did Dos Ogiatas or Orogitas from Encanto. Reuben McIntyre, Somehow You Do from 4 Good Days. Adassa and Stephanie Beatrice, and a whole pile of people. We don't talk about Bruno, including someone named Megan Thee Stallion.
Yep.
Yeah, she's the rapper who did the rap burst that is not actually in the song.
Yeah. Okay, so and then Billie Eilish and Phineas from Phineas and Ferb.
No,
came in.
Phineas is Billie Eilish's brother.
Okay,
Phineas O'Connell, and
yeah,
I thought their performance was the only one I really liked out of all of them. Like,
I agree. And that's the thing is, like, Phineas has been working with Billie since the start of her career, and just seeing the two of them get the award together and like the joy and shock on her face when she was announced was one of my favorite parts of the whole thing. That and how awesome Lady Gaga looked helping at the end.
Well, I mean, Billie Eilish and Phineas 3 years ago were just two kids, writing music and singing songs in their bedroom. I mean, what a whirlwind 3 years they've had, like. Now they're like part of the global elite, winning Oscars and going on world tours and shit.
Yeah, and that's always cool to when somebody wins the award when they 100% were not expecting it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then there's the in memoriam section. I can see you've got the gospel choir listed as the performers.
Yes, the Sunday service choir.
Where the hell was Norm Macdonald?
Where was Bob Saget?
Right.
Yeah.
They always screw the comedians over.
Well,
it was
2000. It's 2021. Oh wait, no. Betty White died in 22.
No, because they didn't mention
that's right.
Bob Saget, but mentioned Betty White, and they died within days of each other.
You're right. Yeah.
Comedians
did not
almost always
mention
get screwed in the in memoriam.
Bob Saget, Ed Asner, Gaspard Ulliel, Monica Vitti, Norm Macdonald, and Willie Garson. were not mentioned.
Yeah. And the combination of the people I noticed who were snubbed for the "You Died This Year," and the fact that they had the gospel choir coming out where it's distracting. You're not sure if you're looking at the pictures or looking at the gospel singers dancing around, and you've got gospel singers dancing around not 10 minutes after the slap. The whole thing was like a train wreck at this point.
You got some guy in the in the studio control, like a cigarette in one hand and a bottle of bourbon in the other one. Just let it go. What are we gonna do? It's not much we have.
But I just don't understand how you could miss people in the in memoriam every single year. It's so easy.
I know.
Just search Google, man. Just find out who died and put them in there because
And
it's not a matter of
not
time.
like-
It's not like you're adding like 5 minutes. It's like adding a bucket of water to the ocean. Make sure
And
you
it's not
cover
like it's
everybody.
this obscure
Jackasses.
name either.
Yeah.
Bob Saget, Ed Asner, Norm Macdonald. Good God. I mean, the other people I don't know, but I mean, Norm Macdonald, one of the most incredible comedians out there with Bob Saget. Ed Asner. I mean, Ed Asner's career goes back 50 years.
Yeah. I mean, it's
Yeah.
it's asinine that you don't include these people.
And you know Willie Garson.
And it's not like you're going to make it up next year.
Right.
I mean, the thing is, they should have somebody that just, when somebody dies that's famous, they just put it in a little box and they're like, save that for next year. They've got like a little Excel spreadsheet. You know?
You don't.
I mean,
you don't even
it's
need
not
that.
difficult.
It's a search. Actors, actresses, dead 2021.
I'll tell you
Bang,
what,
done.
Academy, pay me $50,000 a year. I'll keep a list for you. Fuck.
He does it
He'll
anyway.
murder him yourself. Who do you want?
You'd do it for $50 a year.
But don't tell them that.
Oh, okay.
I'll edit that out.
No, you won't.
If it's between you getting 50 and 50,000, yeah, I'll edit that out. I mean, any other jackass stuff you do, no, that'll still stay.
So I don't know if thumbs up, thumbs down is really relevant, but
yeah, I mean, I will say I definitely enjoyed watching the entertainment of the 92 show, but I think a lot of it had to do with, like, it's Billy Crystal.
It's nostalgia to some extent.
Right.
sure. I mean, you kind of got the Saturday Night Live effect where people our age are like, oh, it was so much better. Oh, sure, because you're comparing your memories of the best of an entire decade against the everything of yesterday.
Right. But yeah, I mean, we don't really need a thumbs up, thumbs down. I mean, is there any movie that stands out between any of the years that you're like, now I got to see that?
Oh, dude, there's a ton of films that I am definitely going to see. Drive My Car came up so many times. It looks super interesting. I want to see Coda if it ever comes to a service that I don't have to pirate
Well,
it.
Drive My Car's on Hobo, so you can watch that HBO.
Oh, okay. I thought it was only on Apple Plus. So.
Coda, though, is
Oh, no,
Apple.
that's
Yeah,
Coda.
Coda's
That's
Apple.
Coda. Yeah. Being the Ricardos, I want to get around to. I've wanted to see Tick, Tick, Boom for a while. Same thing with Tragedy of Macbeth. There's a lot of films that this was like, oh, yeah, it's about time for me to finally watch that.
Yeah, I'm going to watch Bugsy. No. But no, so there you go.
So this was the end of Oscars month. If you think there's something we missed this year that you really had hoped we talked about with regards to the Oscars, let us know. Give us a call at 708-NOW-RAP. That's 708-669-9727.
Yep. And if you're looking for some of our older shows, maybe go back and listen to our previous Oscar shows, which you won't find because this is the first one that we've ever done. You can find those at all sorts of your podcast locations, such as Podbean or Pandora. Give us a thumbs up on those and give us a rating. Give us a little bit of a chat. Yeah, give us You can also go to Amazon, Google, or Apple Podcasts. Leave us a review there, and you can also support the show with the coffee link in the show notes. Joel, what do we have coming up now that Oscar month is over?
We're finally moving on. We're going to be talking about Death on the Nile, Jackass, and pranks, Plan 9 from Outer Space, and TV theme songs.
Nice. I'm actually really looking forward to Death on the Nile.
It's available now on HBO. Yo.
Yeah.
And
Indeed. Yeah, that's something that once I get through this rough weekend, I think it's going to be first up for us.
Right on. All right. Well, everybody, thank you very much for listening, and we will be back next week with more Then and Now retro reminiscing. In the meantime, thanks for listening and have a great week. Bye.
The circle of
Is
life.
everybody about to
God.
puke? What is happening here?
It's like I've heard just like every other bodily function is coming out of us in the last 5 minutes.